Welcome to GTC. I hope you realize this is not a concert.
Imagine being just 30 days away from bankruptcy. Your company is collapsing, your biggest client has walked away, and the entire industry is laughing at you. That was Nvidia in the mid-1990s. And yet, 3 decades later, this same company is worth over $4 trillion, more valuable than Apple, more valuable than Microsoft, and richer than the GDP of 185 countries on Earth. How does a story like that even happen? This is the insane rise of Nvidia. It begins in 1993, when Jensen Huang and his co-founders launched a company with a bold vision to build chips for 3D graphics. Back then, the PC revolution was just heating up. Most computers were clunky machines used for spreadsheets and Word documents. Video games? They were dismissed as toys for kids. But Jensen had a non-obvious insight. If chips could be powerful enough to handle the speed, physics, and complexity of games, then those same chips could eventually power everything else, from rockets to robotics to artificial intelligence. The first product Nvidia launched in 1995 was called the NV1. On paper, it seemed like a miracle. One chip that could handle graphics, audio, and even game controls bundled with Sega's gaming console. The stars were aligned, but then came disaster. Microsoft had just launched DirectX, a new graphics standard that required games to be built from tiny triangles. Nvidia instead built its chip to use curves, and suddenly, game developers had no reason to support NV1. Out of 250,000 units shipped, almost all came back unsold. Nvidia was left with warehouses full of useless chips, their Sega partnership collapsing, and just 30 days of cash left. Things got so bad that Jensen literally dimmed the office lights just to save on electricity. This is the moment most companies would die, but instead of giving up, Jensen made a radical move. He gathered his remaining engineers and told them they were going to design a new chip. But this time, they would do it in record time without even testing it on hardware. In the chip industry, that was suicide. One wrong connection, one logic gate misplaced, and the entire production run would fail, costing millions. But Nvidia had no choice. So they simulated everything in software, sent the design off to TSMC, and waited 8 long weeks. When the chip finally came back, the team held their breath, powered it on, and miraculously it worked. No bugs, no glitches. Smooth, stunning graphics. That chip was the RIVA 128, launched in 1997. Reviewers loved it, developers flocked to it, and Nvidia shipped 1 million units within 4 months. It wasn't just a comeback, it was a rebirth. 2 years later, Nvidia launched the GeForce 256, the world's first GPU. A graphics processing unit capable of parallel computing. Unlike a CPU, which handles a few complex tasks at a time, a GPU could handle thousands of small tasks simultaneously, making it perfect for rendering every bullet, shadow, and explosion in real time. Most people thought GPUs were just for games, but Jensen had another non-obvious insight. The same chips that could render a battlefield could also simulate rocket launches, model disease outbreaks, or even train a machine to think like a human. In 2006, Nvidia released CUDA, a software platform that let developers use GPUs for general computing. It was so far ahead of its time that for years, nobody knew what to do with it. The AI industry wasn't ready. Researchers were still playing with simple algorithms. CUDA was like inventing a rocket engine before anyone had built a rocket. For 6 long years, nothing happened. But then came 2012, and a breakthrough called AlexNet. Researchers Jeffrey Hinton, Alex Kruszewski, and Ilya Sutskever trained a deep learning model to recognize images. Instead of using a supercomputer, they trained it on Nvidia GPUs with CUDA. The result? AlexNet obliterated the competition, cutting image recognition errors nearly in half. Suddenly, AI wasn't just theory, it worked. And it worked best on Nvidia chips. That one moment lit the fuse of the AI revolution. Google began using GPUs for search and translation, Facebook used them for facial recognition, Tesla for self-driving cars, OpenAI for building large language models like ChatGPT, and behind all of it, powering every breakthrough, were Nvidia GPUs and Nvidia CUDA. The result? Nvidia went from a scrappy startup nearly bankrupt in the 90s to the most valuable company in the world today, a $4 trillion behemoth at the heart of artificial intelligence. And what made it possible wasn't just technology. It was Jensen Huang's willingness to bet everything on non-obvious insights. That gaming would lead to supercomputing, that GPUs could become the brains of AI, and that investing years ahead of demand would eventually pay off. Today, Nvidia isn't just a chip company. It's the foundation of the modern digital world. Every AI tool you use, from ChatGPT to Google Translate, is running on the vision of a man who once dimmed the lights to save cash. And that is how Nvidia went from 30 days from bankruptcy to $4 trillion and counting. So the next time you think about business strategy, remember this. Greatness often comes from betting on the non-obvious. Insights no one else believes in until the world finally catches up. If you found this journey as fascinating as we did, subscribe to Scale Decoded for more.